What happens when a tough crime story is shaped by two producers who believe television can carry the same weight and attitude as the hardest detective films of the past? Out of that belief came a show built on pressure, stubborn will, and a partnership that refused to break under the strain of Los Angeles streets. So how did a troubled idea grow into a series that would survive a rough first year, rebuild itself, and eventually become a fixture of 80s television? Let's find out. This is the history of Hunter. Hunter began when writer Frank Lupo and producer Stephen J. Cannell set out to build a police drama shaped by the rough crime films that defined the 70s. They were interested in the rogue cop style that Dirty Harry had made famous. They wanted a lead who carried the same attitude into a weekly series. Their focus settled on an LAPD Sergeant Rick Hunter, a homicide detective with a mob family background, built as a maverick who pushed his cases forward even when procedure got in the way. Cannell's company moved the idea into production and NBC picked it up for the 1984 season. The premise put Hunter beside Detective Sergeant D.D. McCall, a tough, street-smart officer who could match him where it counted. At first, their partnership existed only to keep their boss satisfied, but that concept was shaped so their respect for each other would grow as they handled cases across Los Angeles. The producers also wanted the series to feel larger than a typical police procedural. Early creative plans focused on bringing more physical action to television, with car chases, shootouts, and music-driven sequences setting the tone. When the series moved from concept into production, the show needed actors who could match the force and weight of the world Cannell and Lupo had created. The lead character was written as a tall, imposing, rule-bending homicide detective, so the casting choice mattered as much as the premise itself. That search led them to Fred Dryer, a former NFL football player who turned to acting after the end of his career. His height, presence, and natural toughness fit the character so well that producer Roy Huggins would later compare him to classic American screen legends. For Detective Sergeant D.D. McCall, the producers turned to Stephanie Kramer. Kramer's performance gave the partnership a clear identity, and their on-screen chemistry became one of the show's highlights. When the series reached its 7th season, Darlan Flugel joined the show as Officer Joanne Molensky. Lauren Lane also joined the cast as Sergeant Chris Novak. The series also featured a rotating group of supporting cast members over its 7 seasons. These included Charles Hallahan as Captain Devane, John Amos as Captain Dolan, Bruce Davison as Captain Weiler, and James Whitmore Jr. Hunter's music played a major role in shaping the show's 80s atmosphere, and the producers relied on veteran composers Mike Post and Peter Carpenter. The duo had already created memorable themes for many successful series of that decade, and their work on Hunter carried the same level of experience. Post remained with the show from 1984 through 1990, with Carpenter contributing until he passed away in 1987. When the production was reaching its final season, Walter Murphy took over scoring duties. When the series first aired in 1984, the response was mixed to negative. Critics focused on the show's violent content and clunky execution, and early reviews were very harsh. One reviewer called it the season's most alarming and despicable cop show, while another described it as littered with bad acting. Even Fred Dryer wasn't spared. One reviewer wrote that he had moved to the very front line of TV offensiveness with the role. The ratings reflected the criticism. NBC placed the show on Friday nights, opposite Dallas, and the show was destroyed in the ratings. After only 3 months, NBC pulled it off the schedule. NBC's program-in-chief, Brandon Tartikoff, still saw potential in the show, mainly in Fred Dryer's screen presence. After being urged by Stephen J. Cannell, Tartikoff agreed to put the show on a brief hiatus and then relaunch it in a new time slot. A couple of months later, it returned on Saturday nights, and slowly, the audience started to grow. Dryer later remarked that NBC stuck with the show because they liked him, and once it was placed in the right time slot, the popularity just grew. Over the next few years, the series grew steadily. In Season 4, it ranked 18th in the ratings, and Season 5 climbed to 17th. Behind the scenes, Hunter did not take a smooth path from concept to success. The show's first season had set the tone filled with heavy violence and rough edges, and the early reaction proved that producers needed a new direction if the series was going to survive. Cannell addressed this by bringing in his longtime mentor, Roy Huggins, at the start of Season 2. He introduced several changes, like reducing the extreme violence, easing off the long car chases, large stunts, and graphic moments. He later joked that the stunt team went into shock when he cut back on the chaos. He shifted the show away from the constant alleyways and run-down streets and began placing the characters in bright locations such as Bel Air and Malibu. He also removed the early antagonistic boss, who spent most of Season 1 trying to fire Hunter, replacing him with superiors who acted more like steady guides than constant obstacles. Huggins also dropped the original backstory that tied Hunter to a mob family. It was considered unnecessary, and they thought it didn't help the storyline. As the leads settled into their partnership, the writing focused more closely on their chemistry. The balance of attitude, humor, and cooperation became the center of the series, and with these adjustments, Hunter began to move from its unstable first year into more confident territory. Yet stability did not come without conflict. Fred Dreyer's growing popularity meant he held significant influence by the third season. Before filming began in 1986, he requested a large raise and more creative involvement. The negotiations turned tense, and the production company even filed a $20 million breach of contract lawsuit when Dreyer threatened not to return to the set. The producers even prepared for the possibility of continuing the show without him, and an actor named Joey Cortez was hired as a potential replacement. Eventually, there was a compromise. Dreyer returned for Season 3 with a larger salary and greater input behind the scenes. Stephanie Kramer also made her voice heard when it came to preserving her character. During the planning for Season 4, the writers proposed a storyline where McCall would once again be raped, echoing a major plot from an earlier season. She objected strongly. She felt repeating such a traumatic event was unfair to the character and threatened to quit unless the script was changed. The producers listened, and the sequence was rewritten so that McCall fought off an attack, stopping it before it happened. Kramer stayed with the show for 6 seasons when she decided to depart the series to pursue a music career. Her exit was written as McCall marrying an old flame and leaving LA. But the drama behind the camera continued when new cast members joined the show. When Darlan Flugu entered the series in Season 7 as Joanne Molensky, her relationship with Dreyer soon became strained. She was outspoken about scripts and resisted being placed in a secondary role, which led to creative disagreements. The result was an abrupt on-screen exit. After that, Lauren Lane joined in the same episode as Sergeant Chris Novak, taking over the partnership. Hunter entered his 7th season in a far weaker position than the years that came before it. NBC moved the show out of its Saturday time slot and moved it to Wednesdays, a shift that immediately hurt its performance. The numbers dropped, and by the end of the season, the show had slipped to 47th place. For a series that once ranked amongst the network's strongest action dramas, the decline signaled that its run was reaching a turning point. The departure of Stephanie Kramer at the end of Season 6 also left an impact. Viewers had followed Hunter and McCall as a steady pair for years, and the later partners who stepped into the show did not build the same connection with the audience. The chemistry that once carried the drama was no longer in place, and the 7th season struggled to find the rhythm that matched the show's earlier identity. Cost became another factor. Fred Dryer was now both the lead actor and an executive producer, and keeping him in that role required a higher financial commitment from NBC. With ratings no longer strong and the show becoming more expensive to maintain, the network began to reassess its future. By the spring of 1991, the decision was final. Hunter first reached home video in the mid-2000s when Anchor Bay released the first 3 seasons on Region 1. Mill Creek Entertainment later acquired the rights and re-released Season 1 and 2 in 2010, followed by a complete series set that included all the episodes. In 2022, VEI issued the complete series set, which included the 1995 TV movie as a bonus. For fans who want to add this series to their collection, I've added a link in the description below, and there should be a card popping up on screen to make it easy for you to check it out. Hunter returned through a few TV movies when NBC revived it in 1995 with The Return of Hunter. Then again, it returned in 2002 with Return to Justice, which reunited Dreyer and Kramer. Given the success of the TV movies, Cannell, Dreyer, and NBC attempted to bring back Hunter as a regular series. NBC decided to broadcast 3 new 1-hour episodes of the new series. 2 more episodes were filmed, but they were never shown on TV as NBC decided to cancel the series. In the end, Hunter endured because the people behind it believed the show was worth fighting for. That determination shaped it from the start and kept it alive long enough to leave a mark on 80s television. Next time, we're taking a closer look at an 80s series that redefined how police drama could be told. Until then, if you've missed it, check out our video on Silk Stalkings. Thanks for watching, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.